Good evening, everyone. I'm going to ask everyone to please take their seats so that we can begin our meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Utility Safety and Environment Committee meeting. The first item on our agenda this evening is the approval of the May 12th Utilities Committee meeting minutes. May I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on our agenda is the matter of the seasonal farmers market on Ely Square. Director Reardon, please.
Thank you, Chair, through you. So this is an event that has been going on for quite a few years. Previously it was in Pioneer Plaza, and then it was moved down to the Falls. So this year, due to the ongoing library construction, they do want to move to the square. So this went to the Park Board on March 11th. And they were good with it for a year to see how it went. So yeah, they're asking that they're able to hold the farmers market in the square this year. And the first one will be, they're on Saturdays, but the first one will be June 19th.
June when, please?
19th.
Thank you. I know, Director Reardon, in the past, they had to have insurance. Has that been taken care of?
Yes, they emailed me their insurance the other day. So I have a copy of that already.
Awesome. I think it's awesome. If you've not been to the farmers market, it's definitely worth you checking it out. It's really nice. And I think being on the square this year is going to be really nice. Mrs. Davis, you have a question?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. And I love it. I've always went to the farmers market when they had it before, but I'm kind of concerned about the fountain. You know, people are so rude and mean. What are they going to throw in that fountain? You know, frankly, I've seen some things going on in the park that I don't approve of before, while the fountain was way under construction. And so I'm just wondering what are they going to, how are they going to protect the fountain from, next thing you know, we see all these bubbles or whatever else going to be going on. You know, when you got this going on, every Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Director Reardon?
Yes, thank you, Chair, through you. I will say that, what we notice in the parks is honestly the more eyeballs on something, the better things are. So I personally don't believe that we would have anything to worry about while people are there. Honestly, it's when there's not a lot of people around that we do see, vandalism and things like that. So as far as having the farmers market there, I don't see that being, an issue with people in the fountain or throwing things in the fountain. It's really, the after hours when there's not a lot of people around.
Any questions from anyone else on the committee? Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. I guess then about that question, do we have a camera set up on that fountain? Security camera?
Mr. Brubaker?
Through you, Madam Chair, we do not currently have cameras downtown. I know that is a part of the TLC project and discussions moving forward to get cameras downtown. What I can do, through you, Madam Chair, to Mrs. Davis, is talk to Chief Whiteley, and as the market is going on, have the officer in that zone. It wanted to be good publicity for our police department as long as he or she doesn't have anything going on. He can just get out, or she could get out and walk around the square while that's going on as just a community liaison for them and us.
I think that's a great idea, Mr. Brubaker, because when people see the police, when they're more visible, I think that's a great idea. And plus, them walking around the square gives them an opportunity to meet people and to talk with the residents. I think that's a great idea. Hopefully, we can make that happen. Any other questions for Mrs. Reardon? If not, I will read the committee report. Take my glasses off to see. We have considered the matter of a seasonal downtown farmers market on Ely Square and recommend an ordinance authorizing the approval of allowing Invest Elyria to hold their seasonal farmers market in Ely Square for 1 year. Suspension and emergency clause have been requested due to the timing of the season. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the matter of the seasonal third Thursday events on Ely Square. Director Reardon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. So this is a new event this year. This is being run through the CDC committee. So this will be June 17th will be the first one. They'll have one July 15th, and then the third and final one being August 19th. This will be, it'll be a few different things. So they're going to have food vendors, food trucks, food vendors, musicians. So they're going to have, for the first one, they know for sure will be a DJ and 2 performers. And then they'll also have vendors. So food vendors, craft vendors, art vendors, a few nonprofits down there. And this will be, the time. It will be, I believe, 5 to 9 is what they're shooting for. And yeah, just a community event downtown, bring people together. You know, they're really trying to shoot for that after work crowd to come down there and stay and do dinner and listen to the music and those things. So again, this did go to the board on April 8th.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, go right ahead.
And through you, Madam Chair, just as a note for the committee, Invest Elyria is also serving as the financial sponsor for these events. They are carrying the insurance, et cetera, and the agreement with the city through the Parks Department will be with Invest Elyria due to the fact that the Community Development Corporation is still being formed, and we are not able to make any sort of contractual agreement with them at this time. So when you see the, what I anticipate will be the legislation, should the committee approve this, it will be with Invest Elyria as well.
Thank you, Law Director. Mrs. Davis.
Through you, Madam Chair. Don't mean to be picky, but it states that the seasonal third Thursday. And so am I supposed to assume that you're only talking about June, July, and August, or is it the third Thursday of each month from June to August, or third Thursday? I want specifics.
It's going to be the third Thursday of every month.
Of every month from?
So June 17th, July 15th, August 19th.
Okay.
Yep. Mrs. Keys.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. Mrs. Reardon, were we able to determine if the food vendors are going to pay a fee, or if we have food vendors? I know I asked that question of Ms. Flanders, and I'm hoping that, you know, to be able to help recruit some food vendors.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair. I will defer that to Ren. I don't know about the fee. I did speak with Andrea today, and they do have food vendors. I'm not aware if they're paying a fee or not.
Ren is on.
Mr. Sarah, what did you say, please?
Ren is on
Oh, okay.
the call. I don't know if...
Yeah.
Do you know if the food vendors are paying a fee?
No.
No, you don't know, or no, they're not paying a fee?
No. Great question. No fee, to my knowledge, as of yet. No fee.
I think
It's hard. I can't see any of you, but I know that there hasn't been any fee for any of the vendors that have applied thus far.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, Ms. Flanders, do we have enough vendors for these events? Are they all lined up?
Yeah, that's a great question. So far from the last meeting that I was in about the vendors, it sounded like they were in a great spot with having a good list of vendors for each event. I think with the amount that they're at now, it sounded like a good number. They may be in a position to explore more and can connect you with the main organizer of that to see if any of that needs to happen.
Well, just one more comment. My concern is that if the vendors don't have a stake in the game and they get a better offer somewhere else, a bigger crowd or whatever, that they would just not show up and leaving us with no vendors.
I agree, Mrs. Keys. Ms. Deary?
Through you, Madam Chair, that is certainly a significant point you're making. I would just remind the committee that this is not an official city event, that this is a community committee that is putting this on, but I certainly think that that's something worthwhile that could be relayed to them. It's my understanding that Ms. Andrea Repko, who is working on this, she was involved with Garford Arts Festival in years past, and also some other community events. So I would be optimistic that she would kind of understand some of those considerations as well. But absolutely, I mean, if you don't have some sort of skin in the game, yeah, to be colloquial, yeah. I mean, again, you get a better offer, and yeah, you don't have some sort of down payment or deposit or something, then maybe you would be a little lady.
My other concern, and this will be the last one, I promise, are we going to make sure that they are licensed and approved by the health department?
And also, food trucks are under the jurisdiction of the fire department as well. Food trucks are the fire department's domain, actually, for purposes of their fuel and that sort of thing. So it actually is a dual jurisdiction of health department and fire.
Okay.
So, but no, I think that is a valid question since they will be on our park property.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
And I agree with Mrs. Keys. We should at least be charging. I mean, I know it's not a city-sponsored event, but we should at least be charging them something. We could make, I mean, and the goal is not to make money, of course, but we could make money. You know, if we charge them $25, $50 for a vendor fee, we should be charging something, I think. I think this is a great event. It's another way to get people downtown. I was telling someone about it, and they said, oh, I would never go downtown Elyria at night. And I'm like, really? Because, you know, it's in the square. It's not that bad. So, Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. You do make a good point. If they didn't have a fee, at least if they signed a contract and they had to pay $50, and if they didn't show up, they don't get the money back, or something to that point too.
Right.
You know, if you didn't want to charge them. So, just another comment. Thank you.
Right.
And again, I would just reiterate, I think this would be a different discussion altogether if this were a city event. But because this is at least formally an Invest Elyria event, and that they are the paper sponsor as the corporation, and that this is something that the CDC committee is putting together. I think it's something we certainly, and I'm sure Mrs. Reardon, when she has the conversations, would be so kind as to relay these very wise suggestions to them, and also to reiterate that, yeah, all health department and fire department regulations are going to need to be satisfied since they are going to be on our property for sure. I do believe, I have full confidence that Invest Elyria is going to want to make sure, since they're the ones that are, you know, holding the insurance and everything, that they're going to want to make sure all their ducks are in a row as well. So Mary Bryan's quite the stickler, and I mean that in the best possible way. So,
Mr. Sarah?
Through you, Madam Chair, so I guess what it comes down to is we're just approving the use of the park for this event. We're not taking any jurisdiction over the house and what?
Right. Through you, Madam Chair, correct. So if the committee were to pass this along to council, then this would approve the usage of the square, and there will be a contractual agreement that is drawn up for the usage for those dates that Mrs. Mitchell mentioned for the third Thursday event for that purpose.
Thank you. Madam Chair, with the people that are involved with this being involved with other projects, I have no problem with this.
Absolutely. Are there any other questions?
I'm sorry.
Yes, Mrs. Reardon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to add that I did get a separate insurance liability for this event. So Invest Elyria has sent both separately. And then also I will add, as Mr. Sarah just stated, there are people from other, committees, Stacy Francis from the Apple Committee, that are very aware of the regulations for the vendors. And then I also know that a few of the other committee members did the Garford Arts Festival, so they're up to date and they're in the know as far as the regulations for the vendors and stuff. So although I will pass all this information on, I do feel that they have enough experience to be able to, put on a very well-run, organized event for the community.
Thank you.
Through you, Chair.
Any other questions, comments? Go ahead, Ms. Flanders.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I just wanted to address that as point well. Thank you, Director Reardon. All of the vendors, will have their typical checks. EFD, Lorraine County Public Health, have been engaged on some of these items and other relevant stakeholders. Our communications department here at the city, some other players, just to make sure that, this third Thursday event is going to meet all of those safety standards, that we're crossing all of our T's, dotting the I's. And I do know, at least from the last meeting that we were in with the organizers, that all of the vendors that they currently had, and I apologize, I don't have the list with me or on the top of my head, we're all in line to serve per the last meeting. They're vendors, food vendors that have been out in the community, even recently as last week, doing different food events throughout our city and others. So they're all up to par on those requirements.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Flanders. Are there going to be vendors selling crafts there? Do you know, Ms. Reardon?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair. There are going to be vendors selling crafts and then art also, and then also some nonprofits.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions and/or comments? I will say Mrs. Reardon mentioned the Garford Art Fest, and if you've never been to one, it's pretty cool. They hold it on Kerstetter Way. They close the street off and down by the police station, and I went the first year they did it, and it's pretty cool. So if you can check that, hopefully they'll do that this summer, and it's worth checking out. So if there are no other questions and/or comments, I will read the committee report. That's okay. Okay. We have considered the matter of seasonal third Thursday events on Ely Square, and this is an ordinance authorizing the approval of allowing Invest Elyria to hold their seasonal third Thursday event in Ely Square for 1 year. Suspension and emergency clause have been requested due to the timing of the season. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the matter of the Clark Street Water Tower Improvement Project. Engineer Schneider.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Clark Street Water Tower is in need of some improvements. It's been last painted over 20 years ago. It's never been painted since I've been with the city, but I believe it was painted shortly before I started with the city. But the painting system that they used way back when was a system. Well, actually, I believe they only painted largely the inside, and they have like a lead paint on the outside. So today's standards obviously does not allow lead in the paint, and we're looking to repaint the tower, and in doing so, the tower was built in 1954, so it really does not meet today's standards when it comes to water quality as well as OSHA requirements. So there's a number of things that need to be improved and upgraded and added to the tower itself. So we're looking to go out for bid and take care of all these issues. The total estimated cost at this time, which is a high estimate based as the consultant is still completing the design process, is $1,790,000. We believe that's about 20% higher than it needs to be, so it should be more of the $1.5 million mark. But with today's costs on steel and paint and everything else out there, it's astronomical how expensive things are. A 2x4 nowadays, which was, a year ago was $2, is now $8. So you can see how things have just gone up and up and up. So a project like this in the past that we did, when we did actually 16th Street, which we did a number of the similar issues that we have here, because they were both built at the exact same time. And I believe we did that 12 years ago, roughly, 16th Street, and that was a $1.2 $1 million project for construction. So you can see how, I mean, at this time, it's gone up quite a bit, but these things need to be taken care of. We did receive a letter from the Ohio EPA as far as improvements that are required to be completed and other ones that are recommended at this time, but they're not required yet, but it's just a matter of time before they are. So we'd like to move forward and just go out to bid.
Mrs. Keys?
Sorry, through you, Madam Chair. So you said that the water tower has lead paint now?
On the outside, lead-based paint, on the outside, yes.
And then, so will you be removing that lead paint, or
Yes.
just you are? So I know there's residents down there.
Yep.
And
The tower will be fully encapsulated. It will actually have fans that actually create a pressure system that only what comes out will have to go through the area, so it's a positive pressure system. And so they will be controlled. The ground around there will be tested. Everything is taken to special landfills. As far as the outside paint, the inside paint does not have the lead, so we're not as worried about that. But yes.
thank you.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. Mr. Snyder, I think we paid for, weren't we, didn't we approve money for just the cost to do the assessment of what is, somebody goes and checks it out and says you need to do this, 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 and this. Is that coming back? Do you have that information? Is it worse than what we thought it was, or is it better than what we thought it was, or don't you really know?
The previous approval was for the design and for the inspection costs. So it wasn't necessary to go too much further as far as inspecting it. We've had it inspected in the past, and those issues that we've had were already flagged by the EPA, so they were already in report, so they need to be taken care of. So they did confirm a lot of the stuff that we had there, but yes.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
But you're up.
Hey everyone, I apologize. I cannot hear anything that you all are saying at all. So I'm not sure what the questions will be. If you're able to be sent to me through text, Kevin, or Colleen through chat, happy to answer any questions that way. But we'll just start kind of sharing about the trail if that's okay. So we're wanting to share details about this connector trail. So this connector trail would be put in along Woodford Avenue and would create a new connection to the North Coast Inland Trail eventually. This, we're thinking, would be a great first start project for the Elyria Active Transportation Plan in partnership with Lorain County Public Health. This was a project that was pretty high up on our list of projects of interest from residents. It would help bypass the Leo Bullocks Bridge and how icy that can get for riders, walkers, people on scooters. Getting to the North Coast Inland Trail, it can also help with connectivity. The project cost overall is estimated at $100,000 currently. Right now, we are requesting the ability to start phase 1 of the trail, which would be covered by a $40,000 kind of reimbursement grant that would be provided to us from Lorain County Public Health. I'm happy to answer any questions, but again, I cannot hear, unfortunately.
Ms. Mitchell, she's calling me, so I can take any questions and relay them directly to her. So what questions did you have?
First question, does it need to be an emergency?
Does this need to be an emergency, Ren?
Ideally, if so, for the first portion of this, we do have a goal of getting at least the work started by September. If it's able to be passed by an emergency and voted on at the next council meeting, that would be preferred.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mrs.?
Oh, I just lost the sound again. Great question. Thank you, Kevin, through you, Chair. There will be easements needed potentially for the second phase of the project. With how that portion is designed currently, there could be a potential easement needed with two property owners. There's already existing easements, to my knowledge, for utility for those property owners. There's not any anticipated challenges. If there are, there would be an ability to still have the trail pass through that area, but completely on city property. Assistant engineer Kathy shared with me, or McPhillips shared with me, that that would be a kind of tight squeeze if we went that route, but it would be an option. So it can kind of go either way there.
Okay, and where is the cost of this coming from? Is this issue 6? Is this a grant partnership with the public health department?
Great question. So for the first phase, this would be coming from the grant. It would be a reimbursement grant. The other portions of the project right now on our chart, we have listed potentially issue 6 as an opportunity for funding for the remainder of the trail.
Is the entire project reimbursed, Ren, phase 1 and phase 2, or is phase 1 reimbursement, phase 2 will be at our cost?
Currently, we only have guaranteed reimbursement for $40,000 of the project. We are still exploring additional dollars that can cover the cost of this trail, so that may be an opportunity for the second phase, but right now we just have the guarantee of the $40,000 reimbursement.
Do we know what the total cost of this project is?
It's an estimated $100,000 total.
So stand by.
Thank you.
Did you hear me, Ren?
Yeah, sorry for that.
No, that's not gonna work. No.
That's being caused by the IT guy, so.
or whatever this is, it's a contract. It says May 17th, 2021 through September 15th, 2021. Are those dates correct?
Councilwoman Mitchell is stating the contract states May 17th, 2021 through September 17th, 2021. Is that the timing of this?
Go ahead, Mrs. Deary.
I would recommend that you recommend to me to table this,
Yeah, there's no reason.
so you know.
And
You know, I'm just going to say something off the cuff here and blame it on me because I'm going to say it. COVID, the restrictions have been lifted, and I think if everybody could come in council chambers, that would be great. We would
Your
eliminate a
audio
lot
should
of
be back
these
on.
issues if we could get everybody
sure
in
you're
council
unmuted.
chambers. We're wearing our masks if you
Hang
so
up on
desire, but if we could get
You
in
should be
council
able to
chambers,
unmute
our
yourself.
meetings are not that long, you know, so I would appreciate if people would come in chambers. Thank you. Mrs. Deary.
Oh, thank you. Looking at this contract, I just want to make sure that I understand. So this is for phase one. Obviously, the plan would not be to just do phase one and leave the rest hanging. And phase one is for $40,000, which would be reimbursed. It appears that Lorraine County Public Health wants this to be the final invoice no later than September 15th of this year. Mr. Brubaker, I see Ms. Flanders, nodding, so I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. I don't know if that means that the whole project would need to be completed by September 15th of 2021. My question is, how many phases are there? Is there a time limit to when we would finish the entire project? And just a reminder that if the project is greater than $50,000, then we would be looking at going out for bid, and I'm just want to stress that any sort of time constraints that we would be under as a city. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this project, and I know you're kind of the interpreter here, Mr. Brubaker.
So,
I think she can hear. Ren, can you hear and/or speak?
I can speak. I couldn't hear you, Kevin, because you weren't using the microphone until that moment. Through you, Chair, and thank you, Director Deary, for that question. So the September date is really for the first phase to have been started working on. That's what that date is for that first initial phase. Right now, it's slated for to just those two initial phases. I was kind of confirmed today by the department and assistant engineer, Kathy shared with me that, you know, the first phase of this project could be completed in-house. Sounds like without any issue there. But that September date would be for that first phase, just the first phase. And
So, Ms. Flanders, if we're completing this in-house, what is the $40,000 for? Materials, design?
yes,
What?
the materials, design, working through that potential easement, any issues there, yes.
Mrs. Keys?
So the first phase is from where to where?
He's muted again.
Ren, you're on mute again.
On mute.
I can try to clarify some of these discussions as well if you'd like.
Say that again, John.
I can try to clarify some of the discussions as well. I know a little bit about the project.
Please.
As you know, it's from the bike path, it goes up Woodford and then down an easement, an old railroad trestle spur that used to go out to the railroad tracks. The first phase, I believe, is all within the Woodford Avenue right-of-way currently. So it would not require easements at this time for the first phase of this. It would get us to, as the director said, over there by United Initiators from the end of Woodford back toward the woods to where the old railroad trestle was. And the second phase of them would go from the Woodford Avenue right away over to the actual inland trail. The $40,000 that the city has received a grant for, I believe 20,000, the intent at this time was 20,000 for design, 20,000 for construction, but we could always use 40,000 toward construction as well. But there is a timeline that it needs to be spent by, and I can tell you the sooner the better if we're going to get it done, because it's, as the law director said, you know, we have to go out for bid still and things of that nature. So there's a time limit to all this, if that helps.
So going out to bid is an issue. We will have to go out for bid.
It should, yes.
Yeah.
I believe it's part of the requirements of the.
And do you anticipate that we will need to be securing easements?
For the first phase, we would not.
Okay.
Because we would stay within the Woodford Avenue
Okay.
right away.
So
It's a paper street right now. It's more of a
okay.
path back there right now.
I guess,
so.
you know, my concern is obviously if we're under a pretty strict time crunch.
Yes.
And sometimes those things
For
are out
the
of our control.
$40,000 we are, yes.
And, you know, we have some holdout and stickler and next thing you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, we wouldn't need an easement at this time.
Okay.
I know we've had discussions with United Initiators in the
Okay,
past,
great.
and they've always been very forthcoming as far as giving us an easement, but there's also the container company to the north of Woodford that we would need
Okay.
to talk to
Okay.
as well.
All right, thank you. That helps tremendously.
Okay, are there, Mr. Sarah?
Through you, Madam Chair, so I'm a little bit confused about the out for bids. If we're doing this in-house, what are we going out to bid for?
Well, the construction would not be done in-house. We don't have the manpower to do construction in-house for this type of work.
Okay.
You need a paver, you need to have, I mean, if you want it done right.
Right.
I think the in-house portion is more so the design, more than likely. We may need to get someone to do some survey out there, but that's part of what we're doing out there with this project, though. We definitely will need somebody for, I mean, getting the easements and things of that nature, because we need to have it surveyed to define the limits. Right now, we can work within the existing right-of-way and not have any problems.
Thank you.
Mrs. Davis?
Through you, Madam Chair. I have a problem because we have not defined where this money is coming from.
Anybody?
Madam, through you to the members of council, I mean, ultimately, that would be a councilmatic decision on where it would come from. You could dedicate that. The last time I talked to Mr. Farrell earlier this week in regards to issue 6, because we have a couple items that have come up that I'll have to bring back to council, I want to say there was a neighborhood of $1.4 million of unallocated dollars within that fund, but his thought process was, is any of that going to be needed for the potential of a new central maintenance complex?
Right.
Which, quite frankly, and I know that's a story for another day, is not going to break ground this year. We already know that. So there is money available within, if council so chose to use that to allocate additional $60,000 or the full $100,000 to the parks side of issue 6 or back into the capital. It would be at council's pleasure on that. But there is money available that is unappropriated in issue 6.
Mr. Sarah?
For you, Madam Chair, I'm fine with whether it's out of capital or if it's monies that are appropriated that weren't accounted for so far, as long as it does not affect our street financing.
Through you, Madam Chair, Mrs. Sarah, yeah, I mean, the street dollars have already been allocated, and that money, that dollar amount has already been appropriated towards the streets. So that has been, if you will, deducted from the issue $6 that are available. This is dollars that are unappropriated that have come in that are just, I don't want to say sitting there, but they're in the fund. And at council's pleasure can be allocated.
Thank you.
I mean, I know the Woodland Trail, and I walk up that bridge, and I know that this is definitely needed. I think the problem I have with it is the money aspect of it. Okay, there's money unappropriated, but is this what we want to spend the money on? I don't know. Any thoughts, concerns, questions? Mr. Sarah?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm fine moving ahead with this if we're going to be getting a good portion of it back to the metro parks. If not, we lose that grant, and I think it's a good improvement to the area.
We'll get 40,000 and we'll have to pay 60,000. We'll get 40,000 reimbursed. Is that right, Mrs. Flanders? Is that right? 40,000 back, and then we will have to pay 60,000 out of issue 6 parks.
And Madam Chair, keep in mind, I know Ms. Flanders and our grant consultant will be looking at between now and that time frame to see if there's other grants available that could close that gap from the $40,000 to the $100,000 range.
Okay.
So, I mean, at the most, we would be expending $60,000 that was unreimbursable as we sit today. But as we continue to look at grants, I mean, we could close the window on that.
Okay. Okay. Law Director Deary just informed me that since we're having a strategic planning meeting on Tuesday at 6, we can refer this to strategic planning. That way questions can be answered. We can get more information, and it will still be able to go and be approved if we so desire at the next council meeting. Is that the pleasure of this committee? That would be mine.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we're gonna refer this to strategic planning for Tuesday at 6. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Flanders. Miss Flanders, I want to get you married, girl. All right, there's nothing else to come before this committee. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
We almost made a clean getaway. Yeah, no, yeah.